the YouTube. So we are one day out from the big dance, as if it's been 3 months already. Before the shoot, very emotional day, or emotional few days should I say, because this week is well and truly been a big one because it has been peak week. So in this video, what I'm going to be covering is the ins and outs of peak week, why you might do certain things on certain days. You might have heard the term, fat load, carb load, water depletion, water loading, sodium manipulation, all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm going to be covering that later in the video in a different clip. And in terms of my peak week, it's been full of surprises, to say the least. What I forecast I will be doing within the peak week has literally been the complete opposite of what I've done. So that has been an experience in itself, and I'll be covering that again later in the video. But your boy is getting a tan in T-minus 50 minutes because your boy's trim is dead to the heavens, mate. And this barber's is supposed to be, well, that's what Ben said anyways. So he's got the whole barbers rented out for all of us, which is pretty damn sick. So we're gonna get some sick content there. Then I'm heading upstairs into a gaff to get bronze, bro. Now I don't know how tanned I need to go here because I've never ever had it before. But yesterday and this morning, Haz was helping us get all shaved. Honestly, my legs feel as smooth as a baby's arse right now. Feel a little bit camp as Christmas, we're going to a beach club later on, and then me and Haz will definitely be going to a few beach clubs in the coming weeks. So I hope that the hair grows back. But I'm telling you what, I've seen veins that I've never saw before because I'm absolutely skinless right now. Just waiting on the protocol from Ben. He might have actually messaged us to tell us what I'm having today from a food perspective, because yesterday was the first full day where I had a decent amount of carbohydrates in the best part of 10 days. And I burned through them like they were absolutely nothing, didn't I? Absolutely scran the lips off them. So waiting to see what I'm doing today from a food perspective, and then we're going to head across there. So a lot of value coming in this one, but one day out. Let's get it. So currently just prepping chicken. I haven't got the green light of what food Ben wants us to have yet, but have to set off to the marina in 15 minutes. So failure to prepare is preparing to fail, and I anticipate I'm going to need some protein today. So rather than have to rely on whatever's nearby at a restaurant, what you certainly don't want to do on peak week, I'm cooking off 200 grams of chicken. And again, I don't really know how many carbs he's going to give us, if any at all. So taking some unsalted rice cakes, these just aren't going to taste nice at all. But I'll be able to take them, a bit of chicken, and then I'll probably also take some of this natural peanut butter. The only issue is I'm not going to really be able to weigh this out, but I'll take the scales. This is why, guys, this is why I've got Haz, because she actually was the one who thought about doing that, bringing some food. So yeah, I'll take the scales, take some peanut butter, take them, so I've got carbs, fats, and protein, and then your boy shouldn't miss. Also, how sad does that chicken look? Because I'm not allowed seasoning right now. I haven't had sweetener all week, haven't had much seasoning at all. I just feel like a deprived dog. That's been the hardest part. I'm an absolute popaholic, and I haven't had any fucking pop or soda or anything like that. But not long, and your boy will be caning ghosts like it's going out of business. So I've just got the food message from the gaffer, and we are running baseline food. So 190 protein, 250 carb, 48 grams of fat, 8 litres of water, and then cut it out completely by 7 p.m. No more water at this stage. Salt, 8 grams today as well. Also needs to be completed and consumed by 4 p.m. For me, gotta weigh all that out now. Steps 10k, no other output, just small movements all day, feet up, relax. No stress, no stress. It's asking the stress head, not the stress. Well, some of them macros will be taken care of with what we've prepped there. I don't know if I've got time to have breakfast. Got time for a bowl of oats.
Do you know what time it is?
It's currently 9:05. We've got to get there for 9:45. It's like a 25-minute commute. I don't want to rush my oats. I'll just make Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. I'll get some oats in. 8 litres of water today, great, because I'm absolutely thirsty as anything. Now weigh out my salt. Ready to rock? Let's go! Meal one down, bowl of oats. I've just managed to quickly wolf down. A little bit sad I had to do it very, very quickly, because I literally crafted the bowl perfectly as well. Consistency was perfect, thoroughly enjoyed it. And basically the food that I've prepped before, Ben said, I can't have rice cakes, can't have peanut butter, follow the meal plan. So scrap that last clip. I've got another bowl of oats to have later on, then basically 3 of the exact same meal, but we've got none of them prepped, so we'll just have to wait until we get back to prep them. Hopefully it's not too heavy of a day ahead of us in terms of being actually out of the apartment, because I'm getting my hair cut, but I'm not too sure if I'm going straight in for a tan or I'm gonna come back then have to go back and get a tan. I'm not too sure, because my slot is 3, but one of the other fellas where we're getting the tan done mentions that she's been there for 11, so I think I might be able to squeeze myself in a little bit earlier, and if I can, that would be ideal. But to the beast we go, and across to the famous Dubai Marina. Landed in Dubai Marina, squared at the parking. I'm late for the barber appointment because I had to slam in that bowl of oats before, so should be alright. I'll be there in like 5 minutes. It'll be decent. But excited to get this trim, because when we came here, when we were on the Airbnb the first time before we found the actual apartment, I always walked past this barber shop and I was like, that one looks naughty, mate. So hopefully this trim is the best trim I've ever had in my life, because it's 4 times the price of the one that I get back home in as easy. Turf, check the tan out. Honestly, love the way I look. I got out of it and I was like, I might make this a weekly investment, because it brought your boy's physique to life. Trim's done and dusted as well, love that. 50 snots, by the way, 50 snots for a trim and beard work. I don't even have a beard, it was just a little bit of electric trim. But in the process of getting all of that done, I left my scales out there. Left the scales, so I went to make a bowl of oats, and I was like, on the most important day where everything has to be finite to the gram, I don't have scales. So went and tried all the shops around our local area. Bearing in mind there's about 437,000 of them. Couldn't find scales. Went to order some, couldn't get any within a decent time frame. So luckily, you'll probably be at the door any second now. Over the road, someone who showed us around this apartment block is going to drop off some scales. Hopefully very, very soon, because I'm absolutely ravenous. You've literally got to be joking me here, guys. Scales dead. Scales dead. Just got the new one dropped off. It worked to make the oats, but now it's dead. I think, unless there's a button to turn it on, but typical. Oh! We have life, baby. Stand corrected. Your boy's stress is now over, and you can add the oats, the protein powder to the oats, and there's not enough in there either. Oh, try not to like scratch me tan. I'm worried in case I scratch it and it comes off.
I don't even know if that's how it works.
Right team, so peak week. What is peak week? Why do people do it? But before we even run through the whole protocol on why things might be done on certain days, peak week isn't a magic pill. Like, it's not going to save your life. If you're not lean enough, it's just not going to play effect whatsoever. If you're accumulating far too much body fat, then doing some carbs, sodium, water manipulation won't solve that. You're much better off just continuing on with the deficit until you get to the point where you're really, really lean. Like, honestly, the guys who I run peak weeks with for shoots, they're usually pretty damn shredded. Like, you should be able to see a full six pack, and if you cannot see a full six pack, like I'm talking, you know, as cut as what you've seen me in previous clips or what you're going to see me on the shoot, then just don't do it. It's not going to give you any benefit whatsoever. So now we've drawn the line under that. Rule number one for peak week: you've got to be lean first, and if you're not, then you've got to get leaner before you're even thinking about it. And if you're someone that's stepping on stage or doing a photo shoot, then it probably makes sense to push it back to a little bit of a later date so that you can actually peak effectively. And the whole reason we do a peak is so that when you do get behind the lens and you do a bit of a pump up, you look peaked. So you look your absolute best you can, the skin's nice and tight, the muscle's nice and full, and you're basically pushing that muscle up against the skin so that you get that dry, hard, vascular, you know, grainy look that you're going to see me look like on photo shoot day, or a lot of the guys that I've got results with. And I would love to just give you the secret sauce or the secret formula on the exact way to peak every single person, but what I've learned, especially this prep, is there's no kind of cookie cutter way to kind of peak someone. And I knew that in my head, like, there's loads of different approaches you can take to peak week, but the fundamental process of you drag someone flat at the start of the week, you fill them up near the back end of the week, you fill them up with water at the start of the week, you deplete them, is something that I usually do with my guys, and I've got really, really good hyper responsive results from that. But me personally, what I anticipated for this week to go into was super low carbs really at the start of the week, but really high fat, and running something called a fat load. And then after we've done a few days of fat loading and carb depletion, what we were going to do is kind of flip that on its head, pull fat down, massively bump up the carbohydrates to fill yourself up. So you might hear the term carb loading, but at the same time pulling water down. Like, that is what I anticipated. However, over the last 3 days, my waters actually went up, and I've been having 8 liters of water for the last 3 days. Also a lot of sodium, and I've actually been running very, very little carbs. Like today, I'm only running baseline carbs, like 300-ish, give or take, or 323 if you want to be exact. Whereas I thought in my head I would have been having a lot more carbohydrates because I've got a lot of room to fill up. And then tomorrow, going into the shoot, the planned forecast is that I'm actually going to come in fasted with a very, very small dosage of high digesting carbohydrates. So something like rice cakes with a bit of honey on, or rice cakes with, you know, a little bit of jam on, just to get some carbs into the bloodstream. And then my water does cut off at 7 o'clock. So just to give you a full run through of my peak week, Monday through till Wednesday was literally just as normal. Nothing changed from my typical diet beforehand. Same calories, same macros. So I was running 130 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of fat, and 187 grams of protein. I was having 7 liters water, 6 grams of pink salt, and that was the same Monday through to Wednesday. And then Thursday came around, I had a high day, and it wasn't as high as the previous video that you saw when I've run a high day where I ran 500 carbs just short. I actually only ran 375 for this high day. And the goal of this was, you wanted to fill up, but you don't want to fill up too much, because if you have too many carbohydrates too soon, something called overspilling happens, where essentially your muscles can only store so many carbohydrates, so any more than that you just end up looking a little bit fluffy. So the benefit of going not too high means you get today, for example, where you can fill up a little bit more, and then you've still got the opportunity tomorrow morning before the shoot where you can fill up and maximize the fullness within the look. And so you guys get some education from the carb perspective here. The way a typical peak week works is essentially you pull your carbs down at the start of the week, and the reason for this is something called supercompensation happens, where you essentially can tolerate more carbohydrates getting stored within the muscle near the back end of the week. So let's just say you're usually used to consuming or storing 300, 400, 500 grams of carbs, if you massively pull them carbohydrates down to trace carbs at the start of the week, your body should be able to store more carbs near the end of the week in the hopes of making you look fuller. And you also load up on water intake because, you know, whatever it is you consume from a water perspective, you tend to weigh it out or perspire out, you know, the following day. You might have heard the term weighing like a racehorse. You know, I'm certainly doing that today. So if you drink a lot of water, it will come out. So if you load up on water at the start of the week and then do a water cut at the end of the week, you essentially massively hydrate yourself and then massively dehydrate yourself near the back end of the week. So you get that nice sort of dry look. Like an analogy I like to look at is look at your fingers just in front of them like this. You want the skin nice and tight like that. So you massively dehydrate yourself, but at the same time you fill yourself up with carbohydrates so it pushes against the skin. When you get into the anabolic side of things, which I know nothing about, I'm going to hold my hands up if you're someone who takes that sort of thing and you want to be competitive. I'm not your guy, probably come off the video, but that's when you've got to be very smart with like potassium, with salts and loads of different anabolics. For most natural people though, you're best off just regulating your salt intake and keeping it consistent throughout, because salt is incredibly important in pulling water into the muscle and it gives you muscular contractions. So basically when you do your pump up, you don't want to be super low on salt, you want to be able to get a big hard nice contraction and push blood flow into the muscle. And then moving on to the fat side of things, you need to be making sure that you're getting fat intake throughout the week, because fat will help the transportation of carbohydrates and the oxidation of carbohydrates so that you can shuttle them into the muscles as well to make them look as full as possible. But when you are doing this water depletion, I know I'm kind of here, there and everywhere, but I am going to bring it full circle and wrap it up in a second. But when you are doing a water depletion, you need to make sure that you're replacing the potassium that you lose to the water through the water depletion. And something called the peak max, which I don't have handy on us right now, is basically a diuretic where, yes, we're going to cut the water intake. My water intake cuts off in 2 hours, and that's me done literally up until the shoot. So I'm going to be really dehydrated, but something that helps me do that is a diuretic, and one called Peak Max is great because it actually replaces the potassium that has lost. Like if you're weaning, perspiring, you know, you will lose some potassium, which is very, very unhealthy. You need to keep that balance correct within the body. So having a supplement like Peak Max helps kind of resynthesize that process and just make sure that things are going right internally in the body. So yeah, a rundown of my week was standardized Monday through to Wednesday. Thursday we did a mild, kind of medium load. Today we've done quite a mild load. Tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll decide if I'm getting a little bit of carbs with a tiny bit of fat in there, like I said, just to help transport the carbs and get a contraction. But kind of surface level, the whole goal of a peak week is you want to try and deplete a lot of your carbohydrates at the start of the week, increase your water intake if you haven't already, and then you basically kind of want to transition and flip that a little bit on its head, and fill yourself up with carbohydrates near the back end so you get that nice hard full look. And the key here is you don't just want to be super aggressive with the carb load like the day beforehand or on the day, because then what you're going to do is overspill. So you're going to end up looking actually worse than what you could have as if you just had a little bit less carbs. So always start off a little bit like not as high, so then you've got room to fill. Whereas if you've filled up too much, you can't get rid of it. It's in your bloodstream. It's literally full. You can't do nothing about it and just hope that eventually it goes away. Whereas with water and stuff like that, you can kind of, you know, pull that quite quickly and quite aggressively. And that is it in a nutshell. And again, another key thing to take away from this is you need to be checking in. If you're doing it yourself, I just see what on earth you're doing, hire someone for a bit of help. But if you're doing it with yourself, you need to be checking in to see how you're responding day by day. You know, most people when they go through a coaching process, I speak to my guys every single day, but we'll have an in-depth check-in every single week. Whereas peak week, it needs to be daily, right? Okay, this is how many carbohydrates, how much water you've had on one day. The next day, assess, right? Do we put a bit more fat in here? Do we put a bit more carbs in? Do we put a bit of water? Next day, next day, next day. And then when it's the day like today, the day beforehand, you really need to be checking in after every single meal. Well, I'd probably say 60 minutes or so after every single meal, just to see how your body is responding to the food that you've had. And then on the actual day of the shoot, what you do, you'll have an in-person check-in with your coach or whoever it is that you're with. And then essentially you'll just refine the look there by applying a little bit of spray, a little bit of oil. You know, you get tanned up so it brings in the cuts and everything like that. And you need to be having a little water then, just so it gives you that muscle fullness. A little bit of carbohydrates, get yourself pumped up, and celebrate the hard work. So I know I went here, there and every day throughout that process, but that is essentially peak week in a nutshell. But the biggest take home is, if you're too fat, don't peak, keep digging. Once you've got your six pack, and it's a good six pack, that is when you peak and you wrap up your journey in style, with a tan, with a trim, looking full, looking dry, looking hard, and ready for some good food. So we are literally just about to clock off the final 2 mouthfuls of my last meal. So basically, so you get a rundown of my meals today. We've had oats times 2, dark chocolate, raspberries, protein, and obviously oats with some salt in there. And then after that, we've had 3 meals of the typical bro meal, chicken and rice. And that is literally what we've had. They've been nice big fat meals. We ideally want to be cutting the food off now. Water was cut off half an hour ago, so I can just cruise in tomorrow, dry out, send some shots at 9 o'clock tonight to Ben, send some shots again in the morning, and then we'll get the protocol. But join me, yeah, we'll make this one big one. Join us in my last mouthful of food for today. And that's a wrap. We are ready to dance tomorrow. We are ready to dance and throw it down big time, because this is the best I've ever looked.